Well, hi there, racing fans, and welcome to 2017 and another year of entertainment here on Winning Ways, where we're going to bring you up to date with all the news as usual, but we changed it a little bit just to start the new year. We think it could be quite fun to start with your call. Our guest in your call today is a fellow called Mike Schulleman. Now, a lot of you might not know Mike Schulleman, but you'll be hearing a bit about him. He's got quite an interesting story to tell. He was a great trainer in his day, great mate of ours. But first, let's go and have a look at our sponsors. (2017), Mike Schulleman. Well, Mike Schulleman's someone that probably a lot of you young guys don't know, but the older guys will all know him, especially all the Carpenars, you mountain goats down there. You'll all know who he is because that's where he did his formal years. And wonderful to have you in Durban, Mike, and nice to be able to get you on the show.
Yeah, thanks, James. Nice to be here.
Now, let's go back to what you're doing now. 20 years you have been out of racing. How have you stood it?
Oh, it wasn't difficult, eh?
It wasn't difficult?
No, not at all. Well, it was difficult to start with because when I stopped training, as you well know, training only qualifies you for training. It doesn't qualify you for anything else. But I suppose you do develop some people skills. And that's always stood me in good stead. So, you know, when I got out of racing, I obviously had to do something for a living, and the only avenue open to me was sales because you don't need any formal qualification for that. And that's what I went into, and basically I've always been since then in sales of one sort of another.
Today you run a very successful house sales business,
real estate,
kitchen, yeah, real estate, and that.
Yeah.
How do you find it? Is it a better life than what you had?
Well, it's pros and cons, I suppose. You know, there's not as much excitement or glamour, but I think the money's better. You know, and I enjoy it. You know, I get to deal and meet a lot of different and interesting people, and yeah, it's sales, and I've always been good at that.
Okay, well, let's go back to the beginning. Your father, Scotty Schulleman,
yeah,
was a great trainer, and that's obviously where you got the yen to start training or get involved in horses.
Well, you know, I was always in the stable. I can never remember not being in the stable. It was just a natural progression for me, you know. First, you know, riding on the old Cape Hunt days and on the flat and over the jumps, and managed to win a few races there. And then eventually graduated into training, you know, first as an assistant and then in my own right, you know.
Right, let's talk about the Cape Hunt, because there were some interesting characters we ended up riding against down there, and one of the most interesting was Chris Snaith.
Yeah. Yeah, it's quite a number of the guys that are top trainers today, like Chris, like Mike Bass, that you know, all came from the Cape Hunt and Polo Club days, you know. Chris was an exceptionally good hurdle race jockey, won lots and lots of races, more than anybody that I can remember. Always a very difficult guy to beat because he was always scheming, you know.
He got more tricks than anyone. They don't
Oh,
call
no,
him Snake for nothing.
No, for sure. Yeah, no, he's if he didn't have a better horse than you, he'd manage to out-scheme you, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, he was like Mace in that respect, you know.
Well, you had a lot of duels with him, and you certainly beat him a number of times. Who did you mainly ride for in those Cape Hunt days, and how did you get involved there?
Well, you know, I rode work from a very, very young age, and I think I had my first ride in the Cape Hunt, I think I might have been 12, and rode my first winner, I think my third ride at 13. You know, we only raced 3 or 4 times a year. And I actually rode winners for Chris and for Mike Bass when they were training hunt club horses. Your
dad had some pretty good horses in his time.
Yeah, he had some decent horses. Won the Guineas.
Who was that with?
A horse called Mockingbird and ridden by Peter Cannemeyer, Dean's father.
Okay.
1961, I think it was. Yeah. No, and he had some decent horses, but that was probably his best horse. He had the champion sprinter, was called Vaser, belonged to my mother and some wooden Milner. Well, I think it was Lady Milner actually. He won the Cape Merchants. Oh, a lot of decent, good horses. I can't even remember their names.
So you grew up with all those guys. Stan Ellie, he must have been one of them because his parents were breeders, weren't they?
Well, I only really met Stan when he started training, you know. When he came to work for Theatre Clerk. Yeah. He was assistant to him for a while and then started on his own. You know, obviously I knew Eric, but I think Stan, was probably at university. Yeah. So I never saw him when I went to the farms. But I'd known Eric for a while.
And then obviously you got the chance to meet guys like Terence Millard, who was a legend.
Oh, yeah. I
should have worked for him.
Well, he actually offered me a job when I was still a kid working for my father, you know, when I was just finished school. And stupidest thing I ever did was not to take the job, you know. I could have learned a lot there, you know.
Well, Paddy Crayer was one of his assistants, wasn't he?
Well, you saw what happened when Paddy started training. I mean, he's like his first 10 runners were winners, you know. I mean, he took the world by storm, you know. And he was very, very successful. Yeah. And I mean, you know, for years after that, he was successful as well. Very, very good trainer. I respect him very much as a trainer.
Do you ever get to see any of those guys? Because you're based in Joburg now. You don't get to see anyone, do you?
Well, I used to go and visit Paddy some Saturday mornings because he was basically the only guy that I knew, you know. Well, I knew the other guys, but I didn't grow up with him, you know. And, but, you know, he's been back in Cape Town for years now. And I go and see Alex sometimes, you know. Saturday morning sometimes I go out and go to the track with him and talk a bit of nonsense with him afterwards.
And Michael, then, how did it come about that you ended up taking out your license? Did you take over from your dad?
No, my dad was still training and, you know, we were in Cape Town and I didn't want to start training in the same town as him. I wanted to do my own thing, you know. So I went off to Port Elizabeth, borrowed a couple of horses here and there. As we were discussing the other day, those days you had to have 6, half of which I was keeping myself, like most of us do when we start. And yeah, and that was 1976. I had my first winner in September 76, ridden by a very young Gavin Venter.
You built up a relationship with Gavin, didn't you? And
yes.
Stanley Creef and guys like that.
Absolutely. Well, you know, Stanley Creef and my father were contemporaries, you know. And Terence Millard and all those guys, Alan Higgins, they were all from the same era, you know. I think Terence Millard may be a little younger, but he certainly soon made his presence felt, you know.
Yeah. And how was PE?
PE was interesting, eh? If you want to learn to train racehorses, that's the place to go. Because, well, not so much now, but those days we'd get all the dregs, the worst horses that no one else could win a race with, And you know, those days the stakes weren't what they are today, and you had to catch them right. You know, when you put your money down, they had to arrive. You know, and if you want to learn to do that, PE is the place. Eh?
Well, you look at PE today, it's come a long way, hasn't it? And like Gavin and Tara are very, very successful there. Tara's a great horsewoman, right? And Gavin was a very good jockey.
No, absolutely. Gavin was champion jockey there 16 years in a row, if I remember correctly, when he was riding for Stanley Greif. And Tara, I think she's your protege. Obviously, she picked up something from you as well, because she's
bad habits.
she's doing very, very well indeed. She's a very, very dedicated horsewoman.
She's a very good horsewoman. She actually went from me to Annelie Vuckerfennig to go and ride show jumpers. So
really?
you know, she's a very, very accomplished horsewoman, and
well,
great to see her winning.
Well, yeah. Well, I knew her when she was working for you when I was at Reinke's, and then obviously I didn't see her for a number of years. So I don't really know what she did in between that. And then she popped up in Port Elizabeth, and the rest is history. Huh?
Okay, so you're in PE now. How long did you spend there? Because then you ended up in Cape Town.
I spent 3 years there.
Yeah.
It was never my intention to stay there indefinitely. I went back to Cape Town. My father was still training.
And did you go to Milnerton?
No, I went to Philippi.
Yeah.
Couldn't get to Milnerton, wanted to, but those days it was impossible to get into Milnerton. Went to Philippi, and a few years later my father retired, and he left me a really good horse, a horse called Postmaster, which he owned in partnership with a great friend of his by the name of Dave Altman. And then he died shortly thereafter, my father that is, and then I inherited the half share of the horse, and he won 8 races, you know, so he was a big help to me. He certainly paid the bills.
One of those ones, those ATMs as we call them today,
Absolutely.
that every time you run them, they just earn a stake. Yeah. And we need those horses, don't we?
Yeah, absolutely.
So did you pick up some decent patrons in Cape Town? Because it's tough to start at the bottom.
Well, I think if I remember correctly, I tried Robert Bloomberg's first winner. Yeah, he was, what a great guy though. Oh.
Are you still matey with Robert?
Robert and I fall in and out, you know, over a period of time.
But that's everyone with Robert.
Well, I don't know about everyone, but
he is a great guy. You can't get away from him.
He's a great guy, you know, and he's very, very knowledgeable.
He's too clever.
About
That's
racing.
his problem.
Well, I don't think he'd agree with you, but he's probably one of the foremost authorities on racing in South Africa. I mean, there's nothing he doesn't know about horses. And a gambler, oh, no, he's in a league of his own. No? He's one of the only guys that I know that's made a profit out of gambling, you know.
Okay, well, we're going to come back. We're going to take a little break, and we're just going to have a look at our recent winner from Magic Millions, and then we'll be back with Mike. Right. The winner in South Africa, Street Flyer, millions of winners all over the world from Magic Millions. We get the list, and it's a fantastic list. But that one, maiden plate at the Vaal, and this was a horse from the Gold Coast yearling sales, and cost $52,500. So nice to see Street Flyer winning. We're going to be back now. We're back with Mike. So, all right. Then the big break came. You've been trading in Cape Town for a number of years, and you get the opportunity to come to Johannesburg.
Yeah, well, it was Garth Puller, who I've known forever. Garth used to come to my father's stables before he was a jockey, before he was apprenticed. I mean, he must have been 12 or so. He used to come there in the afternoons. And so we go back a long time, and he was, I think he was Podless's racing manager at the time, and he got me on board, and it was a great opportunity. I couldn't believe the horses that I got. Suddenly I had horses that could run, you know.
So what happened? Did you just pack up in Cape Town and then come up to Johannesburg, to Rijkiesfontein?
Absolutely.
And you were the private trainer to Podless, basically. Were you her private trainer? Were you allowed to train other horses?
I was still a public trainer.
Yeah.
I didn't change my license. I still remained a public trainer, but she picked up the tab for everything. You know, I got a salary and I got a percentage of winners, and you know, after a month or so of Garth showing me the ropes, I had full control of the horses, and I could train them the way I wanted and nominate them where I wanted and decide where to run them and which jockeys to put on.
Garth, did he ride them? He rode some of the horses then?
He did, but I don't know, at that stage he wasn't that keen on riding. I don't know if he wasn't well or something, but you know, I'd say to him, is there anything you want to ride? Yeah, and he'd say, I'd ride this one or I'll ride that one. And I'd say, what about, I said, but you know, those, they haven't got much chance, you know. I said, but what about these three? I think they'll all three win. And he said, no, we'll put Jeff on them, or put Felix on them, or someone.
So yeah, Jeff Lloyd and Felix Coetzee riding for you.
Yeah, look, I've always tried to put the best jockeys available on my horses, because I reckoned if I made a mistake, they'd probably make up for it, you know. And so I always tried to use the top jockeys: Pierre Stradum, Jeff, Felix.
And you won some pretty decent races for the Podless Camburis racing team. They had some quite nice horses.
They had very good horses. I had a filly called Grey Angel.
Yeah.
She top.
But she won the fillies Guineas in Gosforth Park or something?
No, she didn't win the fillies Guineas. I think she won the Gosforth Park fillies and mares.
Yeah, fillies and mares.
And she won a feature race at the Vaal.
Was she a Kenmare or something?
She was by Kenmare, yeah. She was an Australian import, yeah. And Comanche Chief I inherited. He was I think he was 4 when I got him, and I just managed to do the right things with him, and I think he won his first 5 starts for me. He was a maiden he had his first start for me, I think, the 1st of February, and he started favourite for the Gold Cup the same year.
Yeah.
6 months later, you know.
Where you ran there?
He ran second.
Ran second. What beat you?
I can't remember his name, but it was also of Vaughan Marshalls.
Oh, Vaughan Marshalls, yeah. Vaughan's been around a long time, good trainer, eh?
Ah, top class trainer.
Yeah, top class man.
Wins races with monotonous regularity. and he always has, you know.
Yeah. So, okay, so how long did the Podless Camburis system last? Because obviously, once that was over, it wasn't quite so easy.
No, it's never easy. I think I came here in January 92, and we agreed to disagree in, I think it was July 94.
Yeah. So it was about 2.5 years.
2.5 years, yes.
And then probably the biggest win of your career. I've got to talk about him. Quick Wit.
Yeah.
How did that all come about?
Well, it was quite strange actually, because I think I was in one of my, I think Robert and I were in one of my off periods, you know, where we weren't speaking to each other.
Yeah.
And I bumped into him at Turfington Racecourse. I walked through the dining room and he was having lunch there, and I couldn't remember if we were on or off, so I went up to him and said hello and shook hands, and then I thought, oh, we must be on, you know. So a couple of weeks later, this sale was coming up, horses in training sale, and I'd been watching this horse of Alex, and I could see that he was a bit wayward, you know. And he used to hang and run around in races, and I think he actually lost a race on an objection. He won 100, walked it out. But he moved across in the closing stages before he went away from them, and he lost the race. And I thought, oh, that's horse I'd like to buy, you know, because he obviously got ability, but and I've always had a bit of luck with horses that were a little bit wayward, you know.
Yeah.
You know, I've always had a small string.
Good horseman, not luck. Okay.
Well, you know, I've had a small string. You know, when you've got a big string, you don't have the time to work on those horses. Yeah. But when you've got a small string, you can pay a bit more.
All right, so Robert bought the horse for you.
Well, it wasn't that simple. I was going to buy the horse anyway, but I didn't really have the money. So I phoned him up and I said, do you like anything on sale tomorrow? Because he's a very good judge, you know. And he said, yeah, there's a horse called Quick Wit I'm going to buy. So I said, well, that's interesting because I'm also going to buy him. So he said, well, then you better buy him for me. So I said, okay. That's when I realized that we were on again. And I said, how much am I going to pay? And he gave me a figure. And I got him for a little less than that, so he was quite happy. Yeah. But, you know, when I got him, I thought, I can probably make a good thing of him in Bloemfontein, you know. Yeah. I didn't think he's going to win what he did, you know. I could probably make a good thing of him in Bloemfontein, and I'll win one more race with him in Joburg, you know. And, I mean, Robert was quite happy with you know, with this. You know, Robert likes to put his money down. Yeah. And it didn't work out that way. I ran him once, I think Rhys van Wyk rode him, and he ran 4th at Newmarket. And then he won 3 in a row. Yeah. And then he went off the boil a bit. I took him to Durban for the season. He got beat at Greyville, but like a short head. And then I sent him back home because there was nothing for him here. And I stayed here for a while, and he had a bit of a break until I got back. And then we started working on him, and he won 3 in a row again. Racecourse Bookmakers, some other race, and then he won the November Handicap.
And that was like the pinnacle.
Well, it was a Grade 1 race, first Grade 1 race I ever won, you know.
Michael, soon after that you called it a day, wasn't?
About a year after that, yeah.
A year after that.
I had a great year that year. I won like 7 feature races. Yeah. Yeah, about a year after that, that was it, you know.
It's been a fascinating chapter in your life. You love horses. You've always been with horses. And would you ever get back?
Whew. I've thought about it, you know, and I feel the tug from time to time, you know. It's like the circus. You don't get the sawdust out of your bones, you know. Right. But it would have to be, I wouldn't go back on the same terms. It would have to be an offer I couldn't refuse, you know. Yeah. It'd have to be a Podless or a Jooste or a Platner or somebody like that, you know. I can't go back and start at the bottom again, you know. And also, I've got used to sleeping until I can't sleep anymore. So I don't know if I can do the 5 o'clock in the morning thing anymore, you know. I don't know if I want to.
Well, listen, we appreciate you coming in. And we wish you all the best. We know that you do very well in the property business in Johannesburg. And anyone out there want to buy a property or sell a house, obviously you're the right guy to get hold of.
I'd like to think so.
Michael. And have a wonderful 2017.
Great, James. Thanks for having me on the show.
Michael Schulleman, I told you he would be a very interesting man, and so it's turned out. Good mate, and we wish him the very best. And we wish all of you out there the very best. We'll have part 2 of our show, or part 3, whatever, however it falls into place, with Warren Lamferna.
dad, Distorted Humor, he's probably one of his best sons at stud.
I'll have another, wins the Derby.
I'll have another in the Preakness.
Lilacs and Lace, 48-1, upset.
He's just a big, strong, leggy horse.
Right, well, for part 3 of our show, or part 2, or whichever part you want to call it, we go back to the beginning, what you've always known as the beginning, and that's 3 to follow. So we're going to go and have a look at our 3 to follow. And the first one we pick up is at Greyville on the 23rd of December 2016, Arctic Flyer, race 1. This is owned by Rob Scott and his mates, and Colin trains it. And there was a heap of money for this horse, and you watch how unlucky he was. Let's go and pick him up at the start. And stall gate 5 with the white cap on, Warren.
Yeah, James, he gets a little bit of a bump out the stalls, but nothing too major, and Alec Forbes gets him into the race. But the front Brave Knight and At Variance are off like dirty shirts.
Yeah, well, that's the point, is that they get away. House Hunter comes with a rattle on the outside. But watch this horse, he doesn't get much luck in the straight. He's now about 6th in the white cap. The horse comes out on him. Now it goes out further on, and the horse that's in front of him. So now he's got to switch back in. And he switches down the inside and runs on really well. Here he's got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, James, he looks an absolute mountain to climb. Brave Knight skipped well clear and starts to walk in the final 30 metres. But yeah, certainly Arctic Flyer closing in hand over fist right up on the inside, and ends up running an absolute cracker.
Yeah, House Hunter gets up on the post to deny all those people that went for a big win. Arctic Flyer is by Noordhoek Flyer out of a Philippine mare, bred by David Southey, who was a cheap buy for Rob Scott, and he looks like a very nice horse. He's a nice horse in the parade ring. Let's go on and have a look at the next one of our 3 to follow, and we go to Kenilworth, and this was on the 31st. And why we picked this horse out is not only because we think he's a very, very nice horse, but he's owned by the man who owned his sire, and it was wonderful for them to have the winner first time out with this horse, Dutch Phillip, by What a Winter, out of a Dominion Royal mare bred by the Rex stud. Let's go and pick him up at the start. Drawn 16, right on the outside, towards the outside, in Marsh Shirtlift's colours. Partnered with Bryn Rissell and Mayfair Speculators. Here he jumps and he's off. He's quick, this horse.
James, yeah, if you want to really be critical, he jumps slightly sideways, but nothing to get excited about. But as you say, he was out and gone and in the vanguard, and what a lovely horse, an absolutely magnificent specimen, son of Western Winter. Well, sorry, What a Winter.
He beat a Karari that ran second for Sean Terry. You know Sean Terry's genius with his 2-year-olds. This is for Candace Bass Robinson. He's a lovely looking horse. He's right in the middle of the picture, and he's got a beautiful action, and he really gallops resolutely to the finish.
Yeah, James, just looking at that action, you know, obviously he won 1,000. He probably would go a bit further, would you agree?
Yeah, I think that he's probably going for, the word was that he's going for the big race at the end of the month, and he'd probably be hard to beat. This was my captain that ran third, ran a cracking good race first time out, but I was super impressed with Dutch Phillip. And we just want to say, you know, well done to Marsh, and you know, it must be wonderful to own the son of your stallions winner. And he's What a Winter stands at Drockenstein. He could be a real feature as far as the breeding season is to come, and certainly I like the What a Winters, and they're beautiful looking horses, and we're very pleased that he ended up winning. We go to the next one, and we go to Kenilworth. It's the 4th race, and we picked up one of Brett Crawford's the runners. Nice horses, ran a very, very good race. Let's go and pick him up at the start. His name's Bobby Dazzler. And there you got him. He's in the blue and white cross belts right in the middle of the picture. A very nice horse indeed. This a bit green, but he's a grey son of Pathfork, another new stallion. And he's right in the middle of the picture, ridden by Greg Sheen. He dropped off the pace, number 7. You can see the big 7 on his saddle cloth. And he's in the famous Scotland colours of the Kieswetters.
James, chatting to Brett Crawford during the week for the first-timer comments, and we'll touch on the first-timer comments in a moment. He was of the opinion that the horse would be a little bit green, which clearly he was, and maybe in need of the run. So the fact that Bobby Dazzler ran such a cracker, it bodes well for the future.
Yeah, well, Cossack Guard, a long-time maiden's been in front, and Kampala Campari, the horse they put their lights out on, actually won the race, and he's a lovely horse. But watch Bobby Dazzler starts running on right in the middle of the track. He runs on very strongly right in the middle of the track. There he goes down the inside, Bobby Dazzler. Very green, very nice, quiet ride, and you'd expect him to improve quite a lot. But the winner, Campari, by Karari as well, is a very nice horse indeed, and he might go on to be very good, because we'll pick up on Platner's horses later. But nice you're able to get these comments from the first timers, Warren. I know that you guys put a bit of work into it.
Yeah, James, you know, obviously it was a Gold Circle initiative. Paul Lafferty, Michelle Narek were all instrumental in it, and yeah, it's going very well. The majority of the trainers are certainly you know, keen to assist, and the minority aren't, and everyone's entitled to their choice. You know, if you want to contribute, you can. If you don't, it's really just a matter of choice. But looking at these horses, Kampala Campari, Andre Nel gave positive comments. Julie won. Candice Bass-Robinson gave positive comments. Marsha's horse Julie won. So I think it certainly is a good initiative, and it certainly does help the punters.
Well, anything that can help the punters is what we're for, because we believe that the punter is king. And we're going to go and have a look at the blast from the past, 2016 Queen's Plate, because remember, Saturday, Queen's Plate, and what a day it's going to be.
Gates are open, soft falling rain, pulling clear, soft falling rains won the SA Nursery by 3.
Racing in the 2,000 guineas. Gates fly, and they're racing in the Godolphin Mile.
They're off and racing.
Weight didn't matter. Class tells, soft falling rain, much too good. Soft falling rain, an impressive guineas winner. Soft falling rain is drawing clear.
He's made it 7 out of 7 by winning here today.
But it's soft falling rain who is powering away. We'll see out the mile in style. A high-class performer wins the Nay of Joel Stakes.
Flag goes up. Gates fly. Racing in the Lormerard Queen's Plate with Ashton Park a little bit slow, and King of Pain dropped back shortly after the break. Legal Eagle landed running, and that one is off to set the pace, and Legislate is racing in second, now being passed by Buchlet top. Act of War from a deep draw is also on the move to go and set up Handy. Then comes Noah from Goa, who's showing up on the outside of Futura, and those two are settling to race about 7 off the leader. A length and a half behind that comes Power King, who's sitting on the inside of Master Sabina. Then comes Gold Onyx and Heartland. Further back it's Night Trip. Captain America is racing towards the rear of the field, leaving only King of Pain and Ashton Park, the two at the back, and they're sitting 14 off the leader through the middle of the bend. 800 metres left to go, and Buchlet top sets the pace and leads the way. Racing in second, we got Legal Eagle. Then we find Act of War. Futura, the blue colours on the inside, being followed by Legislate. Next we got Gold Onyx. Then we find Power King racing next, and further back it's Heartland. Captain America's in the middle, Ashton Park, and King of Pain sees them all as they settle for the run to the line. 400 metres left to go. Buchlet top, being tackled by Legal Eagle. Futura into the clear flashing. Legislate into the clear flashing. Noah from Goa's coming up the outside. It's Legal Eagle with 200 metres left to go. That's in front. Along the inside, Legislate. Noah from Goa is starting to lift. It's Legal Eagle that's finding more into the closing stages. Legal Eagle wins it From in second, Legislate. Noah from Goa, Captain America. Then came Fatura.
Well, the old champion, Legal Eagle, he's the horse of the year, comes up against the champion 3-year-old last year, Marinaresco. Now, let's have a look and see how they go on Saturday. What do you think, Warren?
James, it's going to be an exciting race. You know, Legal Eagle, he's just superb. From everything about him is superb. But when they last met, Marinaresco was biting into the lead, and he ran an absolute cracker. And Candice Bass Robinson will have this horse primed to the second. So will Sean Terry with Legal Eagle. But I'm leaning towards Marinaresco, Jimbo.
It's going to be a fascinating race and a fascinating race day. Look forward to seeing you all there. Let's go and have a look at the plum of the week.
White Rose and Fortissimus sees them all as they flatten for the run to the judge, head towards the 400. In front it's Seattle Gold, up the outside Whispering Light, then comes Joy to Joy. Deeper out we got in Gaga and Party Crasher taking off together with just on 200 meters left to go. Seattle Gold is in front. Here comes in Gaga up the outside, and Party Crasher is trying to go with her into the closing stages, but in Gaga has hit the front and she's traveling well into the closing stages. She's all class in Gaga, hands and heels to win it from Party Crasher. Gala Placidia back in third, close. White Rose and Seattle.
Well, if you had your Interbet account, you could have got 3-1, as much as you liked about this filly in Gaga. She's Igugu's sister. We tipped her as one to follow after she won her first race. She's won her next start, and she won very easily. She is a very, very nice filly. The filly she beat, Party Crasher, looks like a good filly, Warren, but this is a fabulous filly.
Yeah, she looks to have everything in the right place, James. And again, Andre Nel, when this filly made her debut, spoke highly of her, gave a lot of positive comments, and she won again the second time up the straight. And I actually rang him. I was in the office and I phoned him and I said, Andre, congratulations, she looks, you know. And he said, look, let's not get too excited. Let's see what she does around the turn over the mile. And of course she ran, you know, around the turn as we've just seen. And she doddled in, absolutely doddled in. So I'd like to phone him again on Wednesday and just see what his thoughts are now.
Well, what's interesting is Party Crasher gave her a kilo. They're both 3-year-olds. They both won 2 races. I wonder how the handicappers are going to see this now, because they've definitely got to believe that in Gaga at levels would be as good or if not better than Party Crasher. I thought they were both extremely well handicapped in this race, but when I saw that Party Crasher was giving in Gaga a kilo, that was for me. And as I said, the Interbet guys, very accommodating, 3-1. You could have got at any stage. We're going to take a little break and we'll be back with current affairs.
Yes! If you love soccer and you play the tote, you won't believe what Interbet has to offer you, or the excitement of tote betting on your computer or your cell phone. It's simple. Choose your teams and your bets, work out what your combinations will cost, see how big the pool is, and place your bets. You can even track your bet live as it happens and get updates on your progress. It's all the fun of the tote on your phone. So what are you waiting for? Sign up now at www.interbet.co.za and you could be a winner.
Right, the graduate of the week, Luna Rush is the BSA graduate of the week. Daughter Windrush took her earnings to 770,000 when she won a fillies and mares at Greyville on Friday night. Trained by Duncan Howells, leading trainer in KwaZulu-Natal. The 3-year-old making it back to back wins for Alcohol Breeders, P Garden, Duncan Howells. Peric Mugine, and the De Quintuses and G. Riche. Bred by Campbell, Garden, Howells, Mugine, and De Quintus and Riche. Luna Rush's previous win included the 2016 KZN Million Sale. Daughter Windrush, she's out of the 8-time winning Silvano mare Romantic Moon, who I think Duncan trained as well, didn't he?
Quite correct, James. And in fact, as you'll see, the breeders and the owners are pretty much the same, because they all own Romantic Moon, and they kept the first foal by Windrush. And goodness gracious,
she's good, this filly.
She's good, James. She's just good. Anton's ridden her a couple of times, and she's just got gate speed. She's quick, and lovely bunch of guys. Pat Gunn, as Dee's interviewed the other day, a gentleman that's been in the game for many years, and Garth and Perry.
Yeah, Rishi's he's an old soldier.
Yeah, old Garth, absolutely. I get SMSs as the noms come out, you know, and how far is it going to win by, like, I know, you know. But no, he's a good man, old Garth, and lovely partners, a whole lot of them.
Yeah.
And yeah, nice, as you were saying, with Marsh, you know, owning What a Winter and having the progeny. And there we go, this is from the female line.
Yeah.
They all own Romantic Moon, and they've now got Luna
Silvano,
Rush.
you can't get better. Anyway, let's go and have a look at the current affairs. We've got 3 grade 3s, and we start off with the Christmas handicap at Greyville on the 26th, and let's go and see from the 600 meters, because they're grade 3s.
To travel, Sylvester the Cat's the leader, Mr. Roy the orange cap second, Celtic Captain the white nose bands in third, Royal Navy ship, that's got the red blinkers, Stormy Eclipse and Lunar Approach, they travel almost together. Now they're about 4 lengths off the leader. Lunar Approach has dropped right off the pace now. Lunar Approach has dropped out to trail. There's something amiss could be. About to turn into the home stretch. Lunar Approach has been pulled out of the race, and it's Sylvester the Cat the leader. So Sylvester the Cat brings them into the home stretch. Mr. Roy's on the inside. Ashton Park goes in towards the outside. Celtic Captain, Ricky Tikitano, Stormy Eclipse comes right out. Celtic Captain, Ashton Park on the inside. Sylvester the Cat, Ricky Tikitano's warming up, and on the outside Budapest is also running on. Now the leader is Celtic Captain. On the outside, Budapest, Ricky Tikitana on the inside. Celtic Captain and Ricky Tikitana from Budapest. Here comes the line. Ricky Tikitana won it. Second place, Celtic Captain, and then Budapest.
Well, Ricky Tikitana, the son of Toreador, and he's a damn good horse, this out of a National Emblem mare, bred by the Alchemy. The Bacchus has owned him with Clyde. Clyde Basil made him have a very good Christmas, Clyde, and probably an even better New Year. Wonderful for those guys. Sean trains it, and Lyle Hewitson rode it.
Yeah, James, Clyde Basil, the last time I saw him was at the July. He bought me a drink, and maybe he'll buy me another one now when we see him again after Ricky Tikitana's wonderful win.
You've got to be the only one in 2016. Maybe he'll change his ways now, Ricky. But you must be the only one that got a drink out of it.
But
I certainly never got one, and Clyde and I have known each other for... Clyde and Angie have known each other for a lot longer than you've known them. Okay, you know.
But yeah, Lyle Hewitson rode a perfect race, 52 kgs. Yeah. And the race panned out well. Nice race also for Gareth Van Zyl, finishing second with Celtic Captain in Budapest. But yeah, Ricky Tikitana impressive, and Lyle Hewitson rode a good race. But as I said to you, all 3 graded races.
What did you say to me? You never told me anything. Tell me what you want to tell me.
The current affairs, all 3 graded races, all won by Lyle Hewitson.
Is that so?
Correct. Ricky Tikitana, Riverine, and of course yesterday was Fort Ember.
Fort Ember. Well, let's go and have a look at Riverine, which won the Labello Sprint. Always a good sprint. It's a nice handicap. Riverine, Michael, as he hung on to, it was owned by the Van Furens, and he put in a couple of guys to buy it, and good luck to them. This looks like a good sprinter.
Spain shows good early pace. Behind that is Manx Park, and further back to Wrecking Ball. Seattle Singers across the inside. Captain's Causeway is about 4 or 5 lengths adrift of the leader early on. Queen Laurie and African Ruler. Those are the trailers with 450 to go. It's Grease Paint in front now. Grease Paint has gone clear by 2 lengths from Riverine racing second, then Wrecking Ball behind that Dollar Dazzler, Captain's Causeway, Manx Park, and Queen Laurie's on the outside. 3 lengths to go, 220 to go, and Riverine has burst into the lead now. Riverine, Queen Laurie's on the outside, then comes Grease Paint, but it's Riverine ducking to the centre, clear by 3 to 4 lengths, and it's going to be a good one for Riverine. Riverine ducked right to the inside, won it. Second close, Wrecking Ball, a stable companion, Queen Laurie. Dollar Dazzler behind that with Grease Paint and Captain's Causeway.
Well, Riverine, bred is by Var out of River Jetes. So you can't get a better pedigree. He's bred by Aventura and the AMS owned River Jetes, owned by Riley and Kerika. Those team bought it, and well done to them. And he won a really nice race. This horse. He looks like a top sprinter in the making.
Very impressive, James. Very, very impressive. And Tinas Kerika was in KZN yesterday, so he's obviously in the province for a bit of a holiday. But Riverine, most impressive. The second of the graded races over the weekend that Lyle Hewitson rode to victory, but we're going to talk about him in a little while. But most impressive, Riverine. And nice to see Grant Maroon with Queen Laurie and Wrecking Ball running second and third respectively. So it was a good race all round.
Yeah, Grant's doing very well in Johannesburg with a very ordinary bunch of horses. Good luck to him. Let's go and have a look at Flamboyant, which is always the first big race of the new year. 1st of January, Greyville was the place to be. And certainly this was a triumph for Paul Peter and all his mates.
A meter marker. Heaps of fun in the box seat at the rail second, accompanied on the outside by Fort Ember. Nothing between those two. Then Impala Lily, Dawn Callings on the inside. Well in flights further back. Work ethic. There's no pace on though, they're not going quick. Alma's on the outside of runners. Lala, Miss Minva, Music World, Playboy Buddy and Crackpot. They move to the 600, Little Black Number leads it. Fort Ember's made a move, heaps of fun between the two of them. Then Impala Lily, Dawn Calling's going to go through down the inside. Fort Ember the leader, heaps of fun, Little Black Number, Dawn Calling, Impala Lily on the outside. It's Fort Ember past the 200, Impala Lily, heaps of fun, and a rider's come off. It looks as though it was, I'll pick it up now, but it's Fort Ember the leader, Impala Lily on the outside, and Fort Ember's going on though. It's Fort Ember the leader, Fort Ember has won it, Impala Lily second, Dawn Calling third, Alma ran fourth, and the rider who came down, it's Mrs. Minva.
Well, Fort Ember by Elusive Fort out of the Cahal mare, bred by Arkan Seal. She's a ready-to-run candidate, not an expensive one either. The Bacchus owned her with Ian Leviton and Paul Peter, and she won a good race, but I was very impressed with the way Lyle Hewitson rode this one. I thought this was his best ride of the three.
James, most certainly. All three were good, but I agree with you that Fort Ember's ride really, even Dee's Dine said yesterday, you know, he came around the turn, he sort of did all the right things, and a likeable youngster, really is, you know, he's got a head on him, he's switched on, he's punctual, you know, he really is, has a bright future, and he's always a pleasure to talk to.
Yeah, he's a very nice young man, and it's a tribute to his the father Carl, and you know, his upbringing as to where he ends up going, and he will go right to the top. There's no doubt about it. Lyle Hewitson, congratulations on winning all three of them, all three features. We're going to have a quick chat about a couple of things that have happened overseas. Arrogate was the first. Arrogate, you know, was the horse that is going for the Pegasus Million to take on California Chrome. He beat California Chrome in the Breeders' Cup.
Okay.
He was having his warm-up. We talked about it with Laf the other day. Sam Pasquale has been to have the warm-up, but they scratched him because of a sloppy track.
Okay.
So we hope that doesn't impact on his progress towards the Pegasus $12 million race, which is at the end of the month. The rest, Cara Raffaella, who's a dam of Bernardini, she died. And she was a great mare.
Yeah, very good mare, great mare, James, and sad about that. That's very sad.
Yeah, she's bought by Gonzalo Torrealba, who's a Brazilian who's great mates with Mary Slack, and they own a lot of horses together. And he then sold her to the Sheikh Mohammed and his team, okay. And she ended up carrying Bernardini. She was in fault to Bernardini when they sold her. But they sold her for a lot of money. They made a fortune out of her. She was a cheap mare, and she was very good for everyone that was involved with her. Fozzie Stack, the young man who's now taken over Thomastown Castle Training Centre, which was run by his father, Tommy Stack. Do you remember Tommy Stack?
I don't remember Tommy Stack, James, no.
Yeah, you're
no.
a bit young. He drove 2 Grand National winners in a row on Red Rum. He rode his second and third time that he won the Grand National, Tommy Stack. And he bred for a long time there at Thomastown Castle. He was one of the top flat race trainers in Ireland. And his son, Fozzie, who I think is good mates of Michael and might have spent a bit of time with Michael de Kock, he's taking over from the 1st of January. So there's another young trainer coming on the block. You know, these guys get out there and they do it. A very interesting story to end up with. And I think that this illustrates how people should be in racing. And certainly rich people, so it doesn't concern me. But
or me.
Middelburg Training Centre was the training centre, the private training centre of a guy called Paul Mellon. You know Paul Mellon? He was a great art dealer. He owned a horse called Mill Reef, which was probably one of the greatest horses to race in England. And Paul Mellon was an art dealer and a philanthropist and whatever, and he built his own training centre in Virginia called the Middelburg Training Centre. It was then sold to a guy called Randy Rouse.
Now, Randy Rouse, okay.
Yeah. Randy Rouse turned 100 on Thursday, and on Friday, as a present, he donated this training center to the Thoroughbred Rescue Foundation in America. He said to them, "You can have it. That's my donation, my birthday present as a 100-year-old octogenarian, or what they call the centenarian. I think there's, no, octogenarian is 80, that's what I am. But he donated this training center to the Thoroughbred Rescue Foundation. So there are going to be 80 rescue horses on it, and they're going to be able to run it. He's given them money. He's just been fantastic. And isn't it wonderful that a man who's gained so much pleasure out of racing can go and do something like that?
Absolutely, James. I mean, the day after he turns 100, it's just wonderful that he, as you say, his heart is as big as Texas, and he just donates this. It really is heartwarming. But as you said, you know, there's a lot of good people in racing worldwide that you know, always support charities, donate things, and support people that are ill. So it is really heartwarming indeed.
Yeah, it's a fantastic industry to be in. All of you out there, Warren, thank you for joining us. You know, it's been a great show. Nice having you on the show.
Thank you, James.
And we wish all of you racegoers, punters, breeders, owners, trainers, jockeys, everyone involved in the business, a wonderful 2017. Thanks to our production crew, as we said last week, for seeing us through 2016. We wish them well over 2017, and we look forward to being with you for hopefully the whole year.
Your world of winners is now online at www.teletrack.com. Simply subscribe to log into your account from any mobile device in South Africa and access a wide variety of content from our membership package options. Listen in via a live audio stream, catch live racing locally and internationally, or view a wide variety of Teletrack magazine shows to stay informed and updated on the go at any time. It's never been easier. Go to teletrack.com now.